You've probably seen the news coming out of the FBI this morning, and it's pretty wild.
It's pretty nuts. It's huge news for the NBA and for sports in general, as all these pro sports organizations and leagues continue to be more and more in bed with Las Vegas and these sports books and legalized sports gambling. Well, here's the other side of the coin. NBA Hall of Famer and Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups, Miami Heat point guard Terry Rozier, and over 30 other defendants were indicted this morning in two, not just one, two separate federal investigations alleging sprawling, years-long criminal schemes involving the freaking mafia. Mafia with a capital M, by the way. And they're naming, I mean, this is not just your local mom and pop mafia. No. This is La Cosa Nostra, the Italian mafia. They name specific family names, but listen, I'm not a snitch. Omerta, you know what I'm saying? I'm just doing my job. Yes. Don't hurt me. Yeah. I'm not going to say those specific family names. If you want to look into it, go to the AP.
You don't want to sleep with the fishes and go to Green Cemetery.
Absolutely. I don't want to end up in the Green Cemetery. Cinder blocks tied to my legs that they can't get out, that they had to throw me in the Green Cemetery with the cinder blocks still on my legs. This is absolutely crazy. But yeah, two different investigations, and we're going to get into it, but why not hear from the FBI Director Kash Patel himself? He spoke on it a little bit earlier.
Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Cosa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Cosa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
Kash Patel.
Kash Patel.
Yes.
Clearly been taking public speaking classes with those very dynamic head swivels in the middle of sentences.
Sweet jacket, though.
Sweet jacket.
Very cool
It
jacket.
kind of looks like a guy cosplaying the
Yes.
director of
Yes.
the FBI rather
Yes.
than the actual
Yes.
director of
Yes.
the FBI. But
Yes.
clearly he means business. Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups ain't making no light of it. And between the two investigations, Damon Jones, former Cavs assistant coach, an unofficial Lakers assistant coach, is the only kind of common thread. He's one of three defendants that are linked to both different investigations. But I think what Terry Rozier is being accused of is a little bit more serious than what's going on with Chauncey Billups. Rozier is accused of accessing private information from NBA coaches and players and then giving it to people of the general public for them to place wagers. In one specific instance, he told he told people in the mafia that he was going to leave a game early, March 23rd, 2023, which, by the way, this investigation, both of these investigations have been going on for over 4 years.
Yes.
This is not just something they started cooking up in January. This has been going on for years, clearly, because it says March 23rd, 2023 as a specific date. They said he was going to leave he told them he's going to leave the game early with an injury, and then more than $200,000 of wagers on the unders came in with Rozier leaving the game after just 9 minutes. Those bets paid out tens of thousands of dollars in profits. And get this, they say allegedly Rozier counted the money in his living room with the mafia himself. This is like a freaking movie.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is crazy. The 30 for 30 about this someday is going to be amazing.
And if you see the highlights of those games where Rozier is being accused of, listen, everybody proven until innocent until proven guilty.
But yeah,
it looks
damning.
It looks like
it's pretty damning. It's pretty bad business. And they say that Terry Rozier got $200,000 out of this specific thing. Terry Rozier has made almost about $160 million throughout the multiple stops he's made in the NBA. So clearly there's something else going on here. There always is something else going on when the mafia is involved, but clearly there might be some gambling problems or some debts going on here, because you made over $160 million and you're risking your career for $200K.
I know.
It's unheard of.
I know. Like you said, especially when you made that much amount of money and you're doing all this for $200,000. $200,000 is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's not.
I'll take it. But I don't have $160 million.
Right. It's not worth your career either.
Right.
It's just like, it's nuts.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not to mention the NBA conducted their own investigation of Terry Rozier and found him not culpable for anything. They did this earlier in the year. I remember he got pulled out of some games late in the season last season, but they found out, they said, under their investigation, I guess Terry Rozier can walk scot-free, but the FBI has a different bar for things. And Terry Rozier, one of several arrested this morning.
Yeah, and I know we're going to get to Chauncey Billups in a second. It's crazy. The Timberwolves kind of come into play here because Chauncey Billups coached against the Timberwolves last night.
Just last night.
And then in theory, because all this went down at like 8, 9 a.m. Central Time, so he's on Pacific Time, so he would have, in theory, woken up and had a knock on his door and said, you're under arrest.
Yeah. Probably left the arena mad, salty that Anthony Edwards put 41 on his head. He has to soak in that L. He goes to sleep having nightmares of Anthony Edwards and his clutch mid-range jump shots and three-pointers. Wakes up to a knock on the door, and it's the Fed saying, why don't you come with us, Chauncey?
That's crazy.
I mean, that's crazy. And obviously that's just fan fiction. Yeah. I don't know exactly. Nobody knows exactly how it went down. But Chauncey Billups accused of being a part of rigged poker games that were kind of being backed by the mafia, that they took over $7 million from unsuspecting players who are joining these games. They're lured in by the allure of playing with, an NBA Hall of Famer, Chauncey Billups. He's not just the Portland Trailblazers head coach. He was part of a championship-winning Pistons team.
Beat the Lakers,
Beat the Lakers in the NBA Finals. An NBA Hall of Famer that anybody, any basketball fan from that era will never forget. Chauncey Billups. So you hear Chauncey Billups is in this poker game. Hey, I want to play cards with Chauncey Billups. Maybe my friends would think that's pretty cool. Well, check it out. The games they weren't just a little rigged. This wasn't just small mom and pop nickel and diamond here. Check this out. There was a card shuffling machine, hidden cameras in poker chip trays, special sunglasses that gave you an advantage, even X-ray equipment built into the table so they could read the cards face down of unsuspecting players. I mean, this is Scooby-Doo kind of stuff.
Yes.
This is Get Smart James Bond type technology.
Yes.
Robbing these unsuspecting folks who think that they're just playing a poker game with Chauncey Billups.
That's crazy.
But really, they're playing it with the mafia. I'll leave the name and the names to Kash Patel. He's a lot more protected than your boy is. Omerta. I'm not going to say none of the names. I ain't no snitch out here. But both men face money laundering and wire fraud conspiracy charges and are expected to make appearances today in court if they already haven't.
Whatever happened to just going to a casino and playing poker like
I
a normal
know,
person?
right? Just like getting a group of your buddies together, maybe even in the locker room. I don't know if that's probably frowned upon as well, but it's not. It's not subject to an FBI investigation.
Right.
You and Dame, you guys are old heads. Chauncey and Dame Lillard, just orchestrate a little poker game amongst yourself. But I when the mafia's involved, I feel like it goes a lot deeper than just your average poker game at your buddy's house.
Yeah, and maybe there's an adrenaline rush to saying that you're playing cards with some of these families and that sort of thing. I guess the Aria in Las Vegas, it's not good enough to go there. It's like I just don't get it.
Maybe it's one of those things where you say it once and then you're like, okay, I did it, and then they're like, okay, you got to come back next week and the week after that, and you're like, well, I don't want to, and they're like, no, you're going to come back the week after that, because and all attorneys always are in the initial phases of these kind of things, but it sounded like Chauncey Billups' attorney was pretty brash, like, hey, my client is going to get out of this situation, but we'll see. Whatever happens in the grand scheme of things, I think it's pretty safe to bet the under on games coached for Chauncey Billups from here on out. I would imagine that this is the last we'll ever see of Chauncey Billups on an NBA court. I
would agree with that. And back to the sports gambling thing, and I am an advocate for sports gambling. I think it makes watching sports more fun. I think Minnesota should legalize it. This has been going on for decades. It's just because we have these things that are legal now, this is how people are getting caught now.
Absolutely.
It's not like this wasn't happening 20 years ago and 30 years ago. It's like it makes it easier for people to get caught now.
There's more of a trail now, and it's way simpler to place these bets. So you can just go on your phone, I'm not encouraging this, obviously, but even people in Minnesota, there's ways for them to place bets elsewhere in the country, maybe even in the world.
Yes.
And back in the day, you used to be able to, hey, you hand your buddy, a couple stacks, go place a bet on me doing the what. I'm sure this has been going on in sports forever, like you said. Same thing with the NIL. Before there was NIL, coaches were paying off these players. They were buying them Ferraris. It's been happening. It's going to keep happening.
Yes.
But now we have trails, and now the NBA. It's more of a problem, not necessarily for the fans viewing it, but more of a problem for these leagues who are in bed with all these different sports books now. So it's going to be murky waters for them to navigate, and it's been happening in the NBA a little bit more. Obviously, it happened with Jonte Porter just a year ago. He was named in some of these indictments, by the way, so maybe he had, maybe he got off a little scot-free because he assisted with this investigation, but that remains to be seen. But I would imagine some stuff like this is going to start happening in all of the major pro sports leagues. And I would say especially looking to some of these other pro sports that aren't making as much money, watch out for that as well. But I would expect there's going to be something like this eventually that happens in the MLB, in the NFL, in the NHL. It's just bound to happen when you're in bed with these sports books like the way that these organizations are.
No doubt. By the way, the Vikings are 3.5-point underdogs tonight.
And by the way, the Wolves won.
They are. And they covered the spread, too.
Look at that. So Chauncey made a couple bucks on the back end right before the Feds came knocking on the door. I'm kidding. But Wolves 1-0. So far, my prediction is correct. But obviously, that the game is buried deep underneath these more startling, shocking allegations in the headlines today.
Yeah. And by the way, again, if you're a pro athlete and you're making millions of dollars, listen, placing bets for average Joes, it's the $10 bets are fun.
Yeah.
But when you don't need to do your bet is your contract. That's your bet. That's your bet.
You're in the NBA. Yeah. You're playing against the best of the best. You're in the best basketball league in the world, and you're in your living room wanting to be Tony Montana, counting out cash.
Makes no sense.
$200K in cash with the mafia. It's like, brother, you're watching too many movies.
Yes.
You're listening to too much music right now. This is not your life. You're a hooper. Go be a hooper.
Yes.
Live your life in peace with your millions. You don't need to be doing this. But I'm very curious to see when more details arrive and come our way, and then future documentaries come out about this, because this is, just ripe for the picking when it comes to documentary material.